Our Computex 2025 coverage is made possible by Corsair, Asus, Phanteks, G-Skill, Lee, Seasonic, Thermal Grizzly, Trix, Team Group, Antec, Pro Gamers Group, In Win, Bitspower, Be Quiet, Cable Mod, and Cougar. Welcome back, guys. It is Computex, I would say day 0, and we are here at the In Win suite. Now, they have a private area this time. They aren't in the main Computex hall, so they have quite a few things to have a look at. Now, you're probably wondering, what is this crazy looking tower here? Now, we all know In Win are used to doing their signature series of chassis, and this is one here, and it is looking pretty fancy. So this is called the Chronomancy. It draws inspiration from the passage of time, a concept symbolizing In Win's evolution over the years. So this is a milestone for their 40th anniversary. That's right, In Win was established in 1985. That was the year I was born, so that's pretty sweet. So more about this chassis. Of course, it's going to be in a very, very limited quantity that I don't know yet. It's going to be probably quite expensive as well. Now, moving around this chassis, we can see 1985 at the top. I'll get some B-roll. This is very, very thick acrylic along the top here. And now we have some of the features of In Win's chassis over the years. I don't know them all. I know specifically this one is the In Win S-frame. I did a few builds in that many, many years ago. And then we can see the 40 there and In Win. So if we come back a little bit, we will sort of show you what this chassis completely does. So on the ground here, or on this table, there is a little wand. I can pick this up. So it's kind of got some Harry Potter sort of techniques to it. So I've been trying to get this right. It doesn't work every time. The user has to kind of get used to using this. So you can wave left and right and the actual case will open up. So you push the button, you wait for this to go from, I believe, blue to pink, and then you can do your fancy magic tricks and it will open. And then there is a speaker built in. We'll let that go. So now we have access to the motherboard side, storage side, water cooling side. We have a 5090 Astral from ROG, you can see there. And then we have your water cooling support on the side and 360. This actually makes a pretty good pointing stick now. 360 radiator on the right side, and then the water cooling goes up to the ROG motherboard. Now, I will probably throw some B-roll on the other side rather than walking around. So what I can do is I can do my magic trick again. So now it will catch around. That is closing this side. And it is opening the other side. And I'll get some shots. We won't walk around. So we've got power supply support, the speaker up the top, and that's pretty much it on that side. But it looks like it's just a single 360 at the back side, which I mentioned before, and then the water cooling on that side. So the top here is a very, very nice thick piece of chromed metal. I don't think it's aluminum. I'm pretty sure it's stainless. So it's stainless steel, the In Win rep just said, and then the rest of it is a very, very nice finish. So probably definitely not for everyone, but it is definitely a sort of a showpiece. Like if you're an architect or something, you got a crazy firm, this would just be a stunning showpiece. Like I've had quite a few of these signature chassis. I've had the Z Tower, the S frame, the H frame, all of them, and this one's pretty insane. But to me, I still think the Z Tower, probably In Win hate this, but I just love the Z Tower. I use that in all my videos. I just love the mirror finish on the Z Tower, and I can see this has some of the sort of aesthetics from that as well. In this room here, we have quite a few of In Win's new gaming chassis. Now, some of them have just launched, some of them are coming up. We've got the Shift, we've got things like the D-Lite, I think that's pronounced right. We have the Prism that just launched recently, and then we have some more cases behind me, and we have some fans as well and some PSUs to take a look at. So we're gonna go over these pretty quickly because there's quite a few to go over here. We have the Shift. Now this one looks pretty interesting. This is made from all aluminum, all the sides, all the brackets, and it's kind of like an interesting test bench design. You've got these, it's definitely not something I would say new. We've seen other companies do similar designs and aesthetic to this in the past. As you can see, it takes standard ATX and it would probably take eATX as well. And it does have a few orientations. You can stand it up like this. It can also lie down flat as well because it has feet on the back. And once again, I'll get some close-up B-roll of all of this so you can see all the ins and outs of all of these cases. Now, when it comes to cooling support, there's not really any set dedicated 360, 240, 120, and so on. I guess when I say 120, this one looks to be set to 120, but in saying that, you can move all of these brackets around. This looks like CNC'd aluminum. Feels really nice. When it comes to price, I don't have any prices on these yet, but it does feel nice, but you can move these brackets around. So you can move this one here, well, looks like this one is a little bit bigger than this one, but you can move this around and you can add, say, 2 fans or 3 fans or something bigger on this side, something smaller on this side. You can add, I don't know if you could go 480, it might be a little bit too big, but these brackets aren't dedicated for the fan size. You can go a little bit larger because this 360 all-in-one cooler is only on a bracket that is this size. So obviously it can extend past. If you're using single fans, then it might be a little bit harder to run single fans on these because they might not all make it onto this bracket, but obviously daisy chainable ones. But then in saying that, it looks like there's just enough to tack on the 3 fans because they haven't screwed in all of the full length of the fans. But yeah, pretty much that's it on this one. PSU at the back, everything on there. Not going to be for everyone, but just something a little bit different. Open air chassis, and you've got that quality of that aluminum structure as well. And then it can sit flat. Maybe I can get a shot of B-roll of sitting it flat. I don't want to do it now. It looks like it just rocks back, but I'll see if I can throw that on because that would look pretty cool as well. Now, moving around over this way, we have the D-Lite. It's spelled D-L-I-T-E. I'm pretty sure it's pronounced D-Lite. Now, In Win had the Doobly, I think a year and a half ago. They had it in 2 colors. They had the champagne gold, and I believe they had an orange one. I'm just going to take this side panel off so we can see a little bit better inside. This is a more trimmed down version. I wouldn't say that one was really expensive, but this one is a more cost affordable version. You do have the nice aluminum sides, the brushed aluminum. The feet design is different on this one because they didn't want to do it exactly the same. They wanted to do it a little bit different. But this one's a more trimmed down version and it keeps that same nice, clean aesthetic. Inside, we have a 360 radiator support on the front, the side, the top, and then it looks like 240 on the bottom for GPU support. And then the single looks like 120 or 140 on the rear, but just a nice, clean looking chassis. Looks like ATX support. I wouldn't try to fit an EATX, it's going to be very tight in this case. And then we have the nice mesh on the front. It's actually kind of like a ripple design, which is nice. I'll get a close up of that. It does feel nice and it does blend in nicely with the rest of the chassis. Now, if you've been following In Win, they recently just launched the Prism, I would say a couple of weeks ago. I may just turn this one off so you can get the full effect. So for those who remember the In Win signature cases, In Win did the Tau and the Tau 2.0. I still have the Tau 2.0. I did many builds in that one. That one was their signature, very expensive. All of the glass was mirrored, two-way mirrored. This one is a sort of a revamp on that one. It's not a signature series. It's a more mass-produced version for anyone who wants to pick it up. It's very affordable. I don't know the price of this one, but it is much more affordable and it gives you that same design of the two-way mirrored tempered glass side panels. I'm just trying to turn this one off. I might just have to force it off, or I don't even know if it's actually on. If not, I might just pull the power out the back. So as you can see now on the camera, I don't know how that looks, but it probably is showing a heap of reflections. It's probably showing my brother, who is the filmer behind you guys, but you can see that looks pretty cool. So the mirror is on. They actually haven't done the backside because obviously they're making this very affordable. They've just stuck with the mirrors on this angle, the front angle, and the bottom angle. Now, one thing with the Tower 2.0, it also had the mirror on all the sides. So it had it on the top angle, the front angle, I believe there was a bottom angle, this angle. So airflow wasn't the best on this chassis. So obviously they've redesigned it. The whole front now is mesh, which I really do like. And then they just focused on the main sides here for the mirrors. So it's actually two-way. So it has to be two-way because you can't do, if you just did single one mirror, you can't see through it. Like your bathroom mirror, that is just single one way, you don't want to see through it. But this way has to be two-way, just so you can see inside once it's on, because I'm pretty sure you got expensive hardware like this inside your PC, you're going to want to see inside when it's on. take that off just so we can get a better look inside. So that's the chassis there. I actually haven't really looked at this much. It just came out before Computex. I wonder if In Win could probably send me one to review, because it is quite nice. Inside we've got a nice PSU cover. I know In Win don't do a lot of PSU covers in their chassis. It's good to see that they're doing that. They're adding some RGB aesthetic. That is actually some form of metal steel. It's not plastic, which is good. And then you have the rest of the system. It does do, looks like it does EHX support because the side cable grommets are on the side edge. So even if your motherboard runs past it, you can still run the cables in. 360 top, 360 on, or 360 in the moment it's on the side, but I can see this bracket has extra holes for 140 standard fans. And it's interesting that it's on a clear acrylic mount. That's actually something I've never seen before, and it does look pretty cool. Now, what they're introducing here is the white version. So they just launched this one a few weeks ago. This one's all white. Being all white, they didn't go with the two-way mirror design. I'm not sure if I think they probably should have. I'm trying to see if I can probably just put this up here like this. If they could have made that white, I don't know what your thoughts is. Should they have still stuck with the mirror design, or should they have just gone like they've done here and they've just gone completely clear, transparent tempered glass for this one? But apart from that, everything else is the same. Metal PSU shroud, it's got that nice RGB light in there. And they did tell me that this anti-sag for the GPU, this is just a temporary design. They will have one that actually bolts on top of the PSU shroud. To clean it up, this blue one is just from the GPU. It's just an aftermarket one, and that won't be in the system. They'll have a better one that is built in to the case. And then you also have the side 360 as well. So a nice clean little chassis. I'll put the prices in the description because the In Win rep actually didn't tell me those prices. Moving on to this one, this is the Tactics over here. It's going to be hard to see. I won't spend too much time on this one. Main features of this one is it's got handles. Some of the reps said they got a lot of questions about cases with handles. Obviously, there's going to be a use case for a lot of different people. People wanted handles on their cases, so In Win came out with one, front and back. Having one handle on a case is very hard. A lot of companies have done that. If it's not dead centered in the case, having a handle at the front or the back doesn't really help with lifting it up. You really need two either end to get two hands. I'll get some B-roll on the back, but this is, I think, In Win's first case that does dual PSUs. They also had a lot of questions about or users wanting cases with dual PSU support. I'm not sure what they would use it for. Probably there's a use case for it. It does do the two on the back, so they developed one to do that. And then this one sort of is aiming at Workstation because it can do the dual PSUs, and then you just have the standard glass on the front. So obviously it can take Workstation boards. This one is absolutely humongous in there. That looks like an ASRock with all those fans on there. 3 GPUs, and that's just filled out to the max. This one over here is this one's hard to say. It's spelled W-I-E-W, so it's like view but with a W, so I'd probably say it's like view, something like that. Very hard to pronounce. I'll move this a bit out of the way. Similar mirror design as the Prism we just looked at, and they've gone with the W at the front because the front gives you the resemblance of the W. They've got that mirrored at the front here, and then on the side here. I will take this off. These just pop off, and these are actually hefty panels. They're all sort of reinforced in there, and that design looks pretty cool on how they've done that. It's not just flat, it's got a bit of curvature to it, if we can see that. I wouldn't say curvature, but some angular designs to it. So airflow on this one, primarily on the side. The front is completely blocked. PSU cover there, two 120s on the bottom. PSU cutout there. If you're running a fancy PSU, you want to see it, you can. Looks like EATX support again because the motherboard tray is a bit longer. You've got the side cable routing, and then you have the fan mounting at the top, the 360 or possibly 420. It's hard to sort of guess these. A lot of the time they don't have it on these. So the top will do 360 and the side here will do 360, which have the 3 fans on there. And once again, they've stuck with the handles. And I do like how the handle design, it's not just something way out there that just sticks out. It's kind of clean. It sort of lines up with the rest of the aesthetics on the case, and it just blends in nicely for this one. Over here we have some power supplies, and then we'll have a look at some fans. This one here is quite interesting. It's a 1650 watt GPU power supply. So there's only 4 connectors on the back, and then there's one input connector. So it has 4 12-volt 2x6 high power connectors, and they're PCI Gen 5.1, of course. So what you do is, it's not a standalone unit. You plug your Molex from your primary. So you have another power supply, say this one. So of course the case will need to support 2 power supplies, possibly that one that I mentioned before. Run everything into your main one. When you turn your system on, obviously the signal from the Molex you plugged in here will trigger this one and turn it on. So this is a dedicated 1650 watt. If you've got multiple GPUs in your system, something like that that needs that, this one will do that. So that's something different. In Win are always planning out these crazy ideas. Now this one over here, this is the P250-2, as in 250. They probably should have called it 2500 because this is a monster 2500 watt PSU. Obviously in 240 volt countries, you're gonna get the full 2500. Countries like where I am, the US, 115 volt, 120 volt, you're gonna be limited to 1650 watt. That's just how it is. For the connectors, you do get 4 12 volt high power, which is pretty insane on a unit like this. It is ATX 12 version 3.1. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Of course, it's going to run the larger, I believe that's the largest 16 amp C13. It's not going to be a smaller one. Same with this one on the back as well, the larger cable as well. But yeah, that's just a monster. And overall, the size is pretty good. I would say that's about 200 millimeters in length. It's nothing crazy like I would expect, especially out of 2500 watt for the PSU. And that one is rated at platinum. So no titanium here. Probably don't need titanium because that's just going to increase the cost too much, but platinum is going to be pretty sick for those. Over here on these fans, might be hard to get these in just because of the angle on these. These are the In Win Link, L-Y-N-X, or Lynx, something like that. So we have all RGB here. We have 140, 120 millimeter versions, and it looks like they're all in RGB. There's no non-RGB. I might hit them up and see if they're going to do non-RGB, because I always do like my non-RGB fans. Now, the main interesting feature on these are daisy chainable, one cable at the end. Unfortunately, I can't sort of pull these apart to show you how these work, but these are done via USB-C. So simple USB-C, I can pull this one off here. I'll get some close-ups, and that's just I don't know if it's a custom USB-C cable, but it is definitely just standard USB-C that plugs into the end of the fan. And that's how all of these fans join together. They just have a USB-C male and female. Now, I don't know if there's going to be any issues with that, like people plug in random USB-C devices into their fans and so on. Like you could technically just grab a phone wall charger and plug this straight into that, which is going to be a bit weird, but it's just something that someone might do. But in saying that, I think it would be that end you'd be plugging something into, because they've made it so this is the male and this is the female, which is probably good, because if they reverse it the other way, people would be plugging random phone chargers into their fans. But that's how that is. Pretty sick. I'm just going through the features. They're actually 28 millimeters thick, so not 25. Any performance stats, 2200 RPM, 61 CFM, and 3.04 millimeter HDO for those ones. For the 120s, 140s are 3.07 HDO and 89 CFM, which is pretty good. And I'll get some close-ups on those spec cards that you can pause on. But that's pretty much it. I would say they run off to standard RGB. If I pull that out, that kills the RGB. And the RGB has a little clip on it that holds it in, which is good. And then standard 4-pin PWM for the fan connector, because obviously they can't just run it at USB on the other end. They need to break it off so you can plug it into your motherboard and your RGB controller as well. Now, this last chassis we're going to look at here is called the Covalent. Now, it is designed for workstation purposes. We'll get some close-ups. Inside, we have a monster. Actually, I think that is the exact same workstation board that I use in my personal system. It is a monster board, and it's an Intel Xeon Asus board, which is very nice, and it fits in this chassis nicely. Now, I do apologize. These fans are flat out. They are very noisy, so it might be a bit loud on film. But yeah, pretty much full fan support on the bottom, the front, the side, and the top. Everything can take 140s. Let's just take 3 140s, 3 140s, 420, and 420. So everything can take 140 millimeter fans. I won't take that top off because it's got a bit of a clip on. Let's see if we can just pull this apart. So that slides off. So yeah, 420 top, 420 front, 420 side, 420 on the bottom, which is pretty cool. The front looks nice. It's got, once again, I don't think that's a handle because that's kind of moving and that's plastic, but the design is nice. It's got the text there of the name. I don't think the front I/O is quite finished yet. It looks like that's just a bit of vinyl wrap. We have plenty of USB-A, C, audio, and then power. Being a workstation chassis, you probably don't need too much of that. The front just clips, or the side actually, just clips off. And now we have access to the PSU. Probably PSU goes around the back because it wouldn't fit in that gap to install it. It fits in there, install it around the back side, and then we have two hot swap drives. Maybe not hot swap. When I'm in hot swap, they just slide out on caddies. They're probably not physically hot swap where they connect into the backplane on the back. But yeah, overall, nice little chassis here. And In Win have been doing their workstation and server stuff for a very long time. I wouldn't say this is too crazy in terms of server. In Win has been OEMing for a lot of companies previously. There are some other ones. I'll get some B-roll on them. They've got like 6.5 RU chassis. They've got more server hard drive units where probably it's not going to be relevant for you guys, but they've been doing that for many years. So doing something like this is probably, I wouldn't say a walk in the park to them, but something they're quite familiar with in this type of chassis. So that is it on the In Win suite. We looked at that crazy signature Chronomancy chassis. It'll be interesting to see how much that retails for and how many they actually end up launching overall. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank In Win for supporting my Computex coverage, and we'll see you in the next one.